it cannot be understated how important is honesty in how humans are formed as society. How important is trust. But what I'd like to talk about is what it is on personal level and how we shape our reality and perhaps how we see ourselves. So, a question that I had a couple of days ago was honesty in an interview situation. And of course it kind of begs another question: why situations should influence your integrity? There are big words: integrity, honesty. Same big words can be applied, well, their opposites can be applied to negative traits. Instead of stealing, you can say acquiring, or instead of war, you can say military action. And you can use plenty of euphemisms to obfuscate what you actually mean. That's a problem with words sometimes. You can deceive using these. Hence the title of this chat, Honesty. So, honesty in interview situation. Let's start here and let's see where it takes us. First of all, you need to consider both sides, the interviewer and an interviewee. You are trying to get a job, let's say, where maybe you're not entirely qualified, or you feel you're not entirely qualified, and you need to embellish your skills, embellish what you represent, well, basically to coerce a person to offer you something. Basically offer you something for nothing, right? And look how similar this situation is to many other social interactions that we have in our lives. Have you ever told a story that wasn't really applying to you? It was somebody else's, adventure, and you sold it as your own. Or maybe you weren't entirely honest on a first date, just to make sure that somebody perceives you as somebody a bit more interesting. It's all the same. It's all the same. Trying to be somebody you're not because you feel that what you are right now is not enough. Right? And I think we could encapsulate everything I would like to say today in these words. Trying to be something you're not will come back to bite you. So if we're considering dishonesty in an interview situation, first of all, you don't understand your worth. If you're applying for a position, for a job that is outside your reach, and there's a fundamental problem here. Are you considering yourself worthy? If yes, then why are you trying to lie? Second, maybe error in judgment. If you think that you're not good enough in this role, for this role, and you're actually right, you're not good enough, why are you placing yourself in a situation where you'll be struggling and you'll lose this job? Maybe you think you can fake it until you make it or become it. That's a scenario, but why not be honest with it? Third is, why would you disrespect the interviewer and suspect and believe that they won't see through your deceit? They definitely interviewed plenty of people in their lives, faced all sorts of stories, and can see through these that don't hold water. So we're reaching interviewer's perspective. If you're hiring for a position and your questions are geared to check somebody's potential, because skills are one thing, right? Somebody may have built those skills because they had to, or somebody may have built those skills because they wanted to, and this already influences potential. Okay, that's a completely different conversation, huge topic. But if your questions are geared to judge somebody's potential, and it's easy to spot that they are being dishonest, how do you feel? And if you're an interviewee, put yourself in the position of somebody on the other side of the barricade there. How does it make you feel if you're noticing that somebody is embellishing, right? It instantly zeros their credibility, because you don't know what may have escaped your attention. Maybe they never went to that college or did this project. Maybe they just copied and pasted from some sort of site that gives the right answers. As I did plenty of interviews in my life, I can already tell you that websites or courses that give you a ready, just add water solutions to interviews, they usually give the wrong solutions. They can put you in the right track, but they won't. The one-size-fits-all solution that's available there will almost definitely fail. And the reason for that is your answers will sound cookie cutter. Cookie cutter answers. And they're easy to spot. Especially if your interviewer has experience in interviewing, it's easy to spot. If your interviewer doesn't have experience in interviewing and you're betting on it, then what sort of company are you applying? What sort of job? If you're talking with a person that doesn't know how to hire for this position, how do you expect them to make the right decision? Let's flip it. If your future boss appreciates your cunning and dishonesty, what sort of working environment they will create, what sort of team they will build. If you manage to get a job through dishonesty, you can count that the other people in the team will also have got it through dishonesty. Obviously, this is something that worked, and you will be working in an environment that promotes this behavior. Funnily enough, this is kind of what afterlife may look like. Whether there is one or there isn't, obviously plenty of people have different ideas on that. One thing seems to be logically certain. You will wind up in the same place as people like you. Right? Think about it. If there's no moral code, if everything's permitted, and people are placed depending on the color of the shirt they wear, you will wind up with people wearing the same color of the shirt. If there is moral code, you will wind up with people, whatever criteria is there, criteria is plural, whatever criteria are there, you must wind up with the ones like you. So the best way to assess if you will be enjoying afterlife is ask yourself, would you survive eternity with yourself as company? Alan Watts once said, I can imagine perfectly pestiferous swarm of million saints. So maybe this hypothesis is not fully cohesive. Okay, let's move it slightly outside work relationships. You can already see that by exhibiting traits, you are likely to wind up in a team of people exhibiting similar traits. If you're virtuous, honest, and everything you'd like to see in others, people that work with you, that will work with you on this team will exhibit same traits, because these were the criteria of decision made by the interviewer, by the recruiter. And this relationship transfers to different spheres of life. If we think about dating or friendships, somebody's choice of relationships will also reflect what they expect from these relationships, right? So if you're used to being a victim, you will be naturally drawn to somebody who can satisfy these expectations. That's a pretty grim scenario there, but this is textbook. If you think this is what relationship looks like, you will be bound to replicate it until you've learned this lesson, that there can be a different way. If you're on the other end of the spectrum, if you're used to dominating in a relationship, you will find audience to address this expectation, this need. And I have strayed from the path of honesty here. It's the ice cream man. Just appreciate the moment of music. That's it? Okay, excellent. Honesty. If you portray yourself as somebody else in the beginning of a relationship, or anywhere within the relationship where you have an opportunity to get away with false portrayal, think of what it will do to your relationship. Same as with a job. You just sold somebody else, and now you have to play that role. Because if you're inconsistent, everything comes apart. Also, again, think of the other side of the relationship. What sort of person chose you based on your dishonest performance? Maybe this person was looking for somebody that checks all the boxes that you portrayed. But is this a relationship you want to be in if it's gained by dishonest means? Ultimately, we can ask ourselves, who are we really? Maybe this role we played is actually the real us. It quickly comes out in the relationship. It becomes apparent immediately. Especially when the dust settles, right? When this kind of initial period settles. Yeah, all right. Honesty, relationships. You know what? I think we're good for now. So whenever you do something, just ask yourself, this is a bit of exercise, right? Ask yourself, am I being true to myself? And don't try to answer it with words. Whenever words appear, trying to weasel your way out of this, then that's a no. Try to capture the vibration, because your soul will respond with vibration. Does it resonate? Right? Is there dissonance? And remember, capture that very first moment. I spoke in the previous video about it. The very first reaction. Is this... It sounds like kinesiology, right? Is this the right job for me? Is this where I want to be? Is this conducive to my development, or will this serve my highest purpose? Oh, that's a good one. Will this serve my highest purpose? I like that. And in this split second afterwards, after you've asked this question, you will notice the response. Some people have archetypes of, you know what, maybe you have in your life a person that can see right through your soul, that was a mentor who was understanding and loving, forgiving, leading you to be somebody better and stronger and wiser. You can ask yourself, if you don't have confidence in your own judgment, you can ask yourself, what would this person say? And capture this moment, this tiny speck of vibration afterwards. Will they approve? And you will know if they don't. You will know immediately what the answer is. Right. I think that's it. As always, thanks for being here.